Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Ansatsu Kyoushitsu or Assassination Classroom Episode 5. I loved this episode, but I will say this will probably be a bit of a shorter review than last time, just because last time it felt like there was just a ton that happened, and a lot of it was really good, and there was a lot to talk about and think about. This episode, don't feel like there's as much to talk about and think about. It was a more chill episode. But yeah, let's talk about it. I love the class. I'm really starting to get into the class in a general sense. Now, a lot of the characters are just very bland and faceless. Like, we have our ones that I've talked about, like Green-Haired Girl or Nagisa or Karma, who it's like, they are clearly important characters because they look like important characters. And then there are a bunch of characters that very much not so much so. A lot of characters that just look very bland and like background characters. So yeah, I love the class in a general sense at this point though. Karma, I think, might be my favorite character now. I really like Kurasama. A little behind them or maybe Nagisa and Koro-sensei, but yeah, I actually really like Karma now. Just all of his little things he says in the background feel like they add so much, or feel like they have me like haha or entertained every time I hear him say something. So yeah, I think he might be becoming my favorite character, a character that I said early on I didn't think I was gonna like all that much. But yeah, like I said, episode was a lot more chill. We start off seeing some of the class officers, don't know their names or anything. Most of them look generic anyway, as I said. And this assassination attempt as Koro-sensei comes into the room, very poor attempt. Just a straightforward try to ambush him with some knives while he's carrying stuff. Okay, not the worst idea, but then after he dodges it the first time and they chase him around the room swinging their knives till he's tired, once you've missed the first time, just be like, yep, this one didn't work, back to the drawing board, because there was no way that they were sort of salvaging that plan. So actually really poor attempt, to be honest. So actually I put in my notes, I was like, it's only episode 5, but I'm so ready for another opening. Like, it's so weird. I've really enjoyed this show, and I love anime openings. I never skip anime openings because I love them. But this one is just anti-good. Like, when I watch it, I get less I feel like I'm starting to get less hyped, and I'm like, oh gosh, I maybe need to skip this one. Like, I really don't like this opening. I don't know what it is, but I really don't like this one. So it's like maybe around mid-season we'll get a new one. At the very least, we'll get a new one for season 2, but yeah, I really don't like this opening. I love Koro-sensei using class as an excuse to steal snacks. That was great. Okuda's pretty cute. We get introduced to her. Her character is sort of whatever. I like, though, that we're taking this time, like maybe half an episode here or there, to take these different members of the class and develop them individually, let them get some teaching from Koro-sensei, like we had early on with the baseball kid, Sugimoto or something like that, I think was his name. So I like that we're getting these little bits of teaching for specific characters here and there, and still progressing what I assume to be the main story with the second half of the episode. Kurasama mentions that his requests for renovations have been denied, and I like seeing this journey of Kurasama getting more and more annoyed with the school, because the school's sort of E-class bullshit that doesn't make any sense is making his job, making this assassination happen, more difficult. And it might be part of Kurasama legitimately feeling bad for the kids too, but a part of it is probably also definitely that these conditions are not the best for him to be raising these assassins in. So thought that was pretty cool. We have a teaching segment for Okuda there, and we see the evolution of Koro-sensei, him getting a new ability to turn liquid. I'm wondering, I guess it's a permanent thing there now where he can just turn liquid when he wants now. And I've said this a bunch before. We then get into the second half of the episode. I really like this short brown hair girl. I really like her. I want the focus for a part of an episode to be on her. I want more of her. And then we have Kurudon, another Kurudon segment. So the first Kurudon segment, I don't even remember because it's been weeks now what I said in my review. If I realized who Kurudon's voice was then, but with this one, I like the first time I watched this episode, because I always watch them twice when I review them. The first time I watched, I was like, just going back and watching this segment over and over again, like, I know this voice. I've heard this voice. I was like, I have heard this specific voice do an evil laugh before, and I'm like, is it Hunter x Hunter? Is it One Piece? I can't put my finger on where I have heard this voice, and it bothered me so much. I was like rewatching that segment a million times until finally I realized it. I was like, finally, Kunudon is Fav. That is where I've heard this evil laugh. Fav from Mahou Shoujo Ikse Keikaku, or Magical Girl Raising Project. That's what it was. So I finally realized Kunudon is Fav. It bothered me so much that I was like, this voice is killing me. I can't focus on what he's saying. I can't continue with the episode until I figure this out. I love as they're going down through all these sort of, I guess, obstacles to get to the main campus or whatever. Every single time we see a new one, the students, it's the same guy, and they're just yelling, Okajima, every time. It was really, really funny. Another really funny gag with this was we see it like sort of a game board, and when we have Bitch Sensei catching up, we see her just rushing through the game board. That was really, really funny. Another funny segment was the Shun Sensei segment. I love when they do finally make it there and all the students are like panting, out of breath, all beat up, and you see like some of the students have the stereotypical sort of anime like hash marks to signify bruises or whatever, or like their hair or clothes are disheveled, and then we see Okajima still has these little like cartoony snakes all wrapped around him as he's just like, whew, I'm glad that's over, just walking around with these little cartoony snakes wrapped around him. I thought that was really funny too. I loved that. Karma just skips. He just doesn't even go. He's like, I'm gonna get in trouble, but screw it. And one thing with this is one of these things that just happen in anime or any fictional media that you just have to learn to ignore. This headmaster or principal, I don't know what to call him, I'm just going to call him a headmaster, I guess, talks about how I care so much about logic and science, and it makes these students work so much harder to see the E-class shunned and all of that. But scientifically, that makes no damn sense when it comes to actual sociology and psychology. That makes no sense whatsoever. So it's one of those things where it's like, it makes no actual sense, but it's important for the sake of the story, so you just have to look by or look past how it makes no actual legitimate sense. It's just one of those things where, of course, I read Beastars, and Beastars is, as I always say, like a psychology or sociology textbook in the form of an anime/manga, or in the form of furries occasionally pulling guns on each other. So to be watching that and reading that, it kind of makes me hyper aware when I'm like, when it comes to a society, when it comes to a society, this doesn't really make a lot of sense, logically. And then to have the headmaster specifically talking about logics, that's just one of those things I guess I just have to kind of look past. The other students start to get jealous of E-Class, which I think is fun, because E-Class is just laughing, they're having their own fun, they have these three great teachers. And then again, we see later on with Karasuma just seeming to hate the school, just tired of the school's shit. But mostly because, again, it seems like they're holding back the assassination. We have the Nagisa bloodlust scene, which was whatever to me. It wasn't particularly super epic. It was just Nagisa doing what Nagisa should do, being like, you're trying to bully me when you people look like potatoes. I'm out. Bye. Screw ya. So we end off with more of the evil, stupid headmaster. And they seem like they're going to be a villain here. So yeah, score as a whole, 7.5 ugly kids out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It was, again, more of just your basic episode. It wasn't anything super deep and detailed, I think, like last week. But it was fun for what it was. I enjoyed it. Like I said, 7.5 is a pretty good score. And I said ugly kids out of 10 because I love how in anime we have all these characters where I'm like, oh, that's a waifu. Oh, that's a waifu. And the character is just like, they have like a single line for the nose, a pretty simple mouth, and then just normal anime eyes. Whereas all these characters that are not in E-Class, when you're like, ooh, they're really ugly, their designs are like just more detailed. So what you need to do to make an anime character ugly, just add more detail to their face. Like make their eyes or their nose more detailed, like add freckles or pores. And I mean, I actually kind of like anime characters with freckles, but you get what I'm saying. Just add more detail, more lines to the contour of their face, like their cheekbones and stuff, and it makes them uglier. I just find that hilarious that a simple line for the nose and mouth, and you're like, that's a waifu. This complex face, oh, that's not good looking. They look like a potato. So I find that quite funny. But yeah, that's where I'm going to end this one. Very simple. I said it was going to be shorter, but I'm excited to continue onward. 7.5 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like if you did like the video. Comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode, what you thought of my thoughts on it and all that. Also, for those of you, don't spoil me please, but if I'm about to come up on an episode and it's like, oh, next episode is going to be really, really good, you need to do a reaction to it, let me know ahead of time, and I might do a reaction separately, so I'll do a reaction and a review, or I might put the reaction and review together in a video. So yeah, if there's like something specific, like a specific episode where you're like, you need to record your reaction to this one, just let me know ahead of time so I can do that. In addition to that, I was going to say something. Oh yeah, whenever we get like a new opening or something, I'll do a reaction to that too. Just for the fun of it, because I like openings and stuff, like I said. Even though the first one for this, not a fan of it, but I love anime openings, so whenever we get to a new one, I'll do a reaction for it. So yeah, I said like, comment, subscribe for more of this, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated on stuff for the channel or talk to you there. If you'd like a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord, it's free and open for anyone. And lastly, huge thank you to patrons for selecting this series for me to be able to cover on the channel, because there are so many popular series that I'm like, oh, I really just want to have time to get to. So I'm happy that I kind of have the patrons here that are going to pick these good series that I haven't got to yet. Like, they picked this, which is a good series I haven't got to yet. So I'm excited for whenever we finish this or add something new to the channel, what else patrons could get to decide for me to be able to watch. There's so many anime out. There's Demon Slayer, there's Vinland Saga, there's older ones I haven't seen, like a contender up against this was Seven Deadly Sins, which I've seen the first season of, so that doesn't fully count as not having seen. But yeah, there's just so many good series that I haven't got around to that I'm really happy now that I have the patrons that can kind of vote for me to be able to have time to cover them, since I added this slot for them. So yeah, huge thank you to patrons, and if you want to help support the channel so I can keep making videos on Patreon, it's patreon.com/HakuofTheTubes, or link will be in the description. And also, like I said, they selected this series, so if you want to get in on that and be a patron, you can help give suggestions for the next series, and then I'll put those suggestions to a vote. Whatever wins the vote will be what replaces this when we finish this, or what gets added if I just add a second one. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.